Step into your power, don't hide away. You were born to shine in your own brave way. Confidence rising like the light of day.
Hey, it's your girl Nomad Nisi. Welcome back to my channel. I just want to kick off this conversation with having a moment of silence for our country and for Minnesota as a whole. There's so much turmoil going on right now, and um, I just pray for healing for our state and for our country. So if you'll join me in a moment of silence. Okay, guys, ignore ignore this mess you see behind me. I'm in the process of moving right now, and which I will talk about in a later video. But this first season is really going to be about just you guys getting to know me and my history and where I'm at today. And then season two, I am going to go into more details about what is a nomad and the transition that I'm making right now. So I won I won I went to a Christmas party and I won this bag of coffee at a Christmas party. Shout out to Justin, Fit Fam. But before I got this, I was like, okay, I'm gonna cut back on drinking caffeine. And then I got this and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll cut back after I finish this bag of coffee. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this. I open it and it's coffee beans. And I'm like, who it's fine, it's fine. I like my coffee ground so I can make it right away. And I bought this because I wanted to try it. This is really good for like espressos. And I just made coffee in it. So we'll see how it works out. And I didn't have a coffee grinder, so I grinded them up myself. I had to get creative, y'all. But anyways, let me put some creamer in this. This is my favorite creamer that I use. Zero sugar. Okay. So in um so let's rewind. Previously, I want to say I was about 15 months alcohol free. I got sober in 2020. Yeah, I think 2020, 2021. Don't quote me on the exact dates. It's memory's kind of foggy, but um, yeah, I got sober. I got baptized in 2021. I was just like ready to turn my life around, right? So I'm going to AA meetings. I am reading scripture every day. I'm connecting with people in the recovery community, doing everything that I think I'm supposed to be doing to stay sober. The problem is I wasn't doing the inner work, the the inner work on myself that I needed to do to heal the reason why I was drinking in the first place. I thought once I quit alcohol, my life was just going to be great and I wouldn't have to do anything else. Um, so let's see. Fast forward to January 5th, 2023 is when I relapsed. So prior to that, I was reading my journals. I journal a lot, and I was reading some of my journal entries, and I was just like, I was really going through it mentally, and I should have been in therapy. I should have been reaching out more. There's just a lot of things that I should have been doing that I wasn't. I was just sitting in that depression and just letting it eat me up. Um, so I'm just getting more and more depressed. I'm struggling with parenting things. I'm struggling with job things. And the more that I was struggling alone and in isolation, I was literally living in isolation because I bought a house in Rush City. Anyone that's familiar with Minnesota, northern Minnesota, it's about an hour north of the Twin Cities, and I grew up in the Twin Cities, so everything and everyone that I knew was in the Twin City metro area, and I moved an hour away from everything. And with that, I was also traveling an hour back and forth to meetings because my church was still in the metro area. So I stopped doing that, found another group to go to that was local, and I still didn't really feel like I was connecting with anybody. I checked myself into an intensive outpatient program because I figured it would be a great way to make friends. And going there, like it made me feel even more like I didn't belong and even more isolated because when I was sitting in meetings and listening to people's stories, I'm like, I don't have nothing in common with any of these people. All of their problems are so much worse than mine. Like I don't belong here. But I kept going because I felt like I wanted to make friends in recovery so bad. I just didn't know a way to go about it. And it was funny because everyone was like, you're here by choice," because people were there because they had to stay out of jail. They were there because they were already on probation, and it was like court ordered by their PO or judge or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah. And they would make us pee into cups, and I would just laugh every time because like I know that I'm not drinking, and on top of that, like peeing in the cups, like it was like a scheduled thing. So hypothetically, if I wanted to drink, alcohol would be out of my system within like 48 hours or something like that, and then I would know when I would have to go take the pee test. And it really didn't make any sense. But anyways, dropped down from the intensive outpatient program. I agreed to go, like it was like Monday through Thursday, and then it started conflicting with my schedule. And on top of that, it was 3 hours long. I think, yeah, it was 3 hours long. And I just felt like it was starting to take up too much time out of my day. So then I dropped down to going 2 days a week, and then ultimately to 0 days a week. Um, can I get a drum roll? It's hot. I told Justin I would let him know if his coffee was any good. So can I get a drum roll, please? Um, it doesn't taste strong enough. I really wanted espresso. That's all right. Probably cut that part out. He doesn't need to know I don't like his coffee. um, so yeah, I dropped out of the intensive outpatient program, and because I was a self referral, there was nobody else there to say no. You need to keep coming. So I fell back from that. Um, and then because I felt so alone, I ended up reconnecting with an old friend who lived in the cities, and they drove over to my house and brought alcohol. Mind you, I'm still sober at this point. And in my mind, I'm like, they can bring the alcohol and drink. It doesn't like being around alcohol doesn't bother me. I was over a year sober, so I was just like, it's fine. But I think subconsciously I was like preparing myself like, and even if I do drink, that's fine. I'm not going into this situation to hang out with this person with the intention to drink. But if I do, I've already reserved come to I've already come to the agreement within myself that if I did decide to drink, then it would just be fine. Or I would just drink that one time and then go back to being sober after that. So this person comes over, they bring alcohol, and for probably like the first, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour, we're just catching up, talking, and he's this person is drinking. I'm not drinking. Um, and at one point, I was just like, you know what? F it. Like the alcohol's here, I'm here. Like I'm just gonna drink. It's fine. So I took a drink, and like I remember feeling like the burning sensation go all the way down to like the bottom of my stomach, and just like that, like the feeling was gross. The taste, the smell was all gross, but at the same time, I felt like a relief, like everything is gonna be okay now. Like everything is gonna be just fine. And um I ended up blacking out that night. I subconsciously, I feel like I subconsciously knew what I was doing. I just didn't want to like be like, yeah, tonight is the night I'm going to relapse. I think I was just like I was being my own devil's advocate. Like you can stay sober and be lonely, or you can drink and feel comfort, feel acceptance, feel inclusion. You don't have to feel isolated anymore. So, yep, chose to drink. And then after that night, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just be sober again. Like I said, I mentioned this in another video, but I was never um, like a every single day drinker. I was a big binge drinker, so I could go Monday through Thursday and not drink at all because I'm like got to focus on business and be responsible. Um, so, but then as soon as Friday hit, then I'm drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday through Thursday sober, again Friday, Saturday, Sunday, binge drinking every weekend. The problem with that is um, binge drinking the most is the easiest way to get addicted to alcohol because of how much you're consuming. The more alcohol you consume, the more that your body builds up a tolerance and gets adapted to the substance. Um, so after that weekend happened, then the following weekend, like and throughout the week too, like I started reconnecting with okay. I started slowly but surely started reconnecting with some of my old friends from the cities. And at this point, like I'm over the isolation. Like Sean moved out. Sean's my son. He ended up moving out, and I'm just like, I don't want to be in this house by myself, an hour away from everybody and everything that I know. I'm gonna sell my house and move back to the cities. So um as while I'm in the process of selling my house, I'm still actively driving to the cities every single weekend to go party. Um, and I remember going to a pub crawl one weekend, and this was just like like 2 weeks after I relapsed. I'm already going to pub crawls like that. Like it ramped up so fast. Like it went from sober pub crawl real fast. So and that night, uh, she had Coke. So we're drinking, I'm getting drunk, and people always talk about weed, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. People talk about that being a gateway drug. But in my opinion, I feel like alcohol is the gateway drug because when someone is, I won't be general, I'll speak for me specifically. When I'm under the influence of alcohol, I'm susceptible to do so many more things that I normally would not do had I not been drinking alcohol in the first place. For example, we're at this pub crawl and this friend has some Coke. So she asked me if I want some. So we go to the bathroom and we're in the bathroom stall doing Coke. Like, and this cycle repeated Monday through Thursday, work, Friday through Sunday, binge drinking, and I'm just out at bars, pub crawls, freaking anything. If it involved alcohol, I was there. And on top of that, like I was now doing coke on weekends. I was now smoking cigarettes and smoking weed, and it just ramped up so fast. Um, I think what I wasn't addicted to cocaine or weed or cigarettes because once I cut out the alcohol, everything else was a non-factor for me. But what's scared me about the coke is that now, prior to me moving back to cities, I moved away and I was gone for probably like a decade. Like wasn't in contact with anybody, kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. And now coming back, I started seeing people that were overdosing from doing coke. So that scared me into just not doing it anymore. Like, but I was still drinking, still smoking cigarettes, and then I would smoke weed sometimes. Um, but once I started seeing that people were dying, because then people were saying like, oh, people lace coke with fentanyl, and fentanyl is what people are overdosing on, and I'm like, yeah, I enjoy drinking, but I'm just gonna not do that anymore. So, and then the overdoses just started hitting so much closer to home. On top of that, like so many people that I know from, excuse me, that I know from high school overdose. My mom, on top of that, and then who else? There's just a lot of people that have died due to overdose. Um, so I just cut that out altogether. Um, and then so fast forward to um I sell my house and I move into an apartment, and I am basically I'm basically living I'm an empty nester now at this point. Like Sean moved out. I'm like I'm trying to figure out who I am outside of being a mom, because I'm just like I've never lived a life like this before. I had my son when I was 16. So having him at such a young age, I never had the opportunity to develop an identity outside of taking care of him, being a mom, and really just in survival mode 24/7. So I'm not in survival mode anymore. I have this whole apartment. I'm living by myself. I can ascend, and I'm single on top of that. So I kind of feel like I was just like the the floodgates just opened, and I was having parties, or I would have kickbacks in my apartment on a regular basis. I surrounded myself with so many people that drank just as much as I did, and it reinforced the fact that I can continue drinking. Um, and it's crazy because like I'll see all of these memes of like sometimes people relapse and they die and never come back, and then sometimes they'll be out for 15 years. And if I'm doing the math right, January of 2023 I relapsed and I didn't get sober again until March of 2025. That's 2 years of my life that I was just living in active addiction, just drinking on a regular basis. And honest, if I'm being honest, like it went from binge drinking every weekend to now it's Thursday through Sunday, and then it became a every other day thing, and then it became a everyday thing. And it would on weekends I would drink more because I wouldn't have work, so I wouldn't have to feel like I needed to be responsible for anything or anyone. Um, but then throughout the week I'm still drinking. Like I would get like those little like airplane bottles. I'd get like four of those, and then like a tall can of like a White Claw or like a Truly, and I drink that, but like every single day. And then once Friday hit, then I'd go to the store and get big bottles, and just doing that for 2 years. And then oh man, because I was in active addiction, I invited relationships into my life who were also people that were in active addiction. Um, And there were people around me that they knew that they were alcoholics too, and like we joke about it and stuff. But then there's other people that like they were alcoholics and didn't believe that it was a disease and were in denial about it. Excuse me. Um, and when I was in active addiction, just the absolute worst choice in men. Like this is where the bipolar and the self medication come into play, because one of the symptoms of bipolar disorder is when someone is manic, they have a um, they have a like a high level of sex partners, and when I'm in active addiction, it's like I'm just manic for the entire time until I drop down into like a depression. Because anytime that I've been in active addiction, I've always, and I see this, I see this play out in my life, and then I trace it back to childhood because I remember seeing it play out in my mom's relationships with my stepdad and other people. So as a child, I watched my mom. She would have her main person who was my stepdad, and they were together for like over 20 years. But whenever they would get into fights, she would kick him out. She would have other people come over, or like she would have like side relationships, or I would just see her with other people often. But I always knew that my stepdad was like her main person. Um, and then for myself as well, like I've been in long-term relationships, but I've always still had like these other people on the side that I could fall back on if this main relationship doesn't work out. And and I do realize that like having all of these different partners, it was really just a reflection of how I felt about myself. I didn't love myself enough. I didn't trust myself enough. I didn't have enough respect for myself to be able to just commit to one person. Honestly, I feel like society puts all this pressure on us to get married and have kids and build a family. And Jesus didn't have a family. It's true what they say, one drink isn't enough, and 1,000 drinks are too many.